Hello and welcome to Caching Waves. I wanted to give a update on Bitcoin and show you guys a couple different options going on. But based on the next move that happens, it's going to drastically change my wave counts, and I wanted to explain why. First of all, I like this as a complex correction, as a flat here, or zigzag, as our A wave. And that would be the top of our A wave, and we're in some sort of complex correction happening here. Obviously, ideal areas would be the 50 to 618 of that move between 21,406 and 23,238. But I'm starting to consider other options. Again, I think it's a pretty ugly impulse, and it's a pretty ugly impulse if you have the impulse over here. The only way I was able to make this work, I'll show you real quick, is if this is 1, 2, thirds way up here, very extended, 3, 4, 5, and then I'll show you the sub count on that. Again, very ugly. This would have to be a extended wave 1, a flat for our wave 2, also a sideways correction for our running flat for our 4th, and our 5th up like that. So that's the only way I'm able to make that be the impulse top over here. I don't like it. I think it's very ugly. I still like the A wave as my primary. But what that does is create a situation where the next move will kind of explain what's actually happening. Now off the top, I have this as a zigzag for our W wave. We then have a expanded flat for our X, and initially I had a double zigzag here to complete the correction. So that should have been a potential bottom. Didn't get that, right? We're just drifting sideways here, trying to get something to show itself a little more optimally so we can get some edge on the market. And on some exchanges, this actually pierced this low. On Binance it didn't. On some exchanges, this low is higher than this low. This low is higher than this low. So it's very confusing at the moment. But I always go with Binance because they have the largest volume. I know it can be manipulated. We have a lot of leverage, but I prefer to go where the volume is. But that being said, if this turns into a triangle here, this is my concern. If this turns into a triangle and breaks to the downside, what would that mean? To me, that would mean we're getting a WXYZ or Z. And the reason for that is this can't be a flat. So if we're making a Y wave, you can't get a triangle in the B wave of a flat correction. That goes against the rules of a flat. It can't be a triangle. So if that were to happen and we get a triangle and break to the downside here, I would expect this to be a WXYXZ, like so. We get zigzag here, zigzag here. At the end of the triangle, we'd expect a zigzag here to the downside. So that's one consideration I would make to adjust my entire counts. Now that you have that in mind, and how that would look is we just run out here in a triangle. It would be an A, B, C, working on a D, E, and then we come down in 3, and that would be our triple zigzag, W, X, Y, Z, and then we go for further upside, right? Correcting our B wave in a larger degree. Alternatively, we can get a zigzag, we can get a combination where we'd expect a different correction. Because we can only get a triple zigzag with the current wave count as WXYZ. So if we come back up and this becomes a larger correction, which I've been anticipating, as you know, and then we get downside coming up between the 50 and the 618 of this three-wave move. Then we can get a flat, or this is a zigzag. We get our X wave, and then we get our 3, and then 5 waves down as a flat. And that would just make us a larger W, X, Y. Just get a 3, 3, 5. So the question is, do we get the flat where we make the move up? Because remember, we cannot get a triangle in a flat. So it would have to be another zigzag after as a W, X, Y, Z. So a little torn here, but nothing drastic to worry about. It would clear things up a little bit, and we'd grasp what waves we would expect to come next, which would be another zigzag. So we'd just be getting a triple zigzag, ABC, 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 coming down to around the 21,500 to 23,000 area. So as of now, the next little bit is really going to clear things up on this. Now, I am currently long on Bitcoin, but I'm going to be very weary, and I might have to bail on it if we get this triangle, depending what happens over the next week. But that's the triangle set up there that you see. So I'm tracking that. Or a WXY here up for our B wave in that flat scenario, in which case we would expect 5 down to complete. So even down closer, we had a 3-wave move here for W, 3-wave move for our X. And so far I have this as an A wave, where we had 5 waves up, running flat for our B, and most likely a diagonal here for our C. Like so. And as of right now, it looks like double zigzag here, potentially. Not quite done. Where we get leading diagonal. I'd have to measure these, but it looks good roughly. Again, this is more of a rough video. I just wanted to show you the scenarios. Or it could be even a running flat, like so. Get an A, excuse me. Get an A running flat, B, C, and then we get our X wave, and we're getting an A, B, C for a double zigzag. Now, if we get that, I'd be weary of this triangle significantly, because that would take us, especially if we drop to the 786 rather than the 618 before taking off here. So going to be very careful and watching this start like a hawk. Because the other option I had here too is completed here, where we got a flat A, B, 1, 2, like so, sorry. Just zooming in here. We got a flat A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, complete. And we go to the upside. I hope we get that, because it would make life a lot easier. And I'd look for a short at this area here to the downside, but looking for 5 waves as a flat correction rather than another zigzag. And things would line up pretty nicely if we pivot here. So I took the extension of our A wave, looking for our C wave. You can see the 1-to-1 there moving right at the bottom. That lines up at the 1.236 of this W wave extended off this X wave. That lines up with the 1.236 there, which is a expected target of our Y wave. And it also lines up between the 50 and the 618 of this down move. So that's what I'm looking at Bitcoin, guys. I know it's not a amazing update, but it's good to second guess some things sometimes and reevaluate what could be happening. Make sure you double check all your rules. Make sure you're not breaking any of them. But if we fill out this triangle, I have us, we pretty much, if we drop lower, it pretty much has to be a zigzag. We'd have to get that W, X, Y, X, Z as a triple zigzag. And in order to make it a flat, remember it cannot be a triangle as a B wave and a flat. So we need this move up if we want that flat, in which case we get that, we would expect 5 waves down after that. So we should get some clarity. It's nice to know how many waves to expect after the end of the correction. So that's what I'm looking at Bitcoin, guys. If you have any questions, let me know, or if perhaps you saw something that perhaps I missed in my count. Any criticism is always welcome. I try to always follow all the rules and make sure things are looking and panning out the way I expect. But if this turns into a double zigzag, I might start to get weary of this E wave potentially coming up and ending a X wave before a Z wave. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Check out my other videos if you want to see my other trade setups. Cheers.